Former Justice Department special counsel who brought 2 criminal cases against President Donald Trump is now being investigated himself. An independent watchdog agency is looking into whether Jack Smith violated the Hatch Act while investigating President Trump. The law bans some public officials from engaging in political activity. Smith led the cases involving the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago and President Trump's alleged involvement in the January 6th attack on Congress. Trump pleaded not guilty in both federal cases, and neither made it to trial. In fact, they were both closed before he took office. Smith had said in his final report in the January 6th case that the evidence could have convicted Trump if he hadn't won the election. Trump has called all cases brought against him hoaxes and election interference. Joining us now to help break this all down is former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, John Fishwick. John, great to see you. We'll dive right in here. So Senator Tom Cotton, he says that Special Counsel Smith pushed for a, quote, out of the ordinary rush trial for President Trump. This was ahead of the Iowa caucuses, that he tried to get a quick ruling from the Supreme Court before the election, among some other items. How strong is that case when we talk about whether or not Jack Smith weaponized the justice system to, in fact, influence the 2024 election?
Yeah, so Kelly, what the special counsel will look at is, did Jack Smith cross the line? Did he bring these actions against President Trump, or then candidate Trump at the time, for political purposes? Did he rush the charges against him? In other words, what Senator Cotton says in his letter to the special counsel is that, hey, look, you brought these charges and then you asked for a trial within a matter of several months. And then once the issue was going to the Supreme Court on criminal immunity, you asked the court to rule right away. You tried to bypass the Court of Appeals. And so your actions crossed the line. And so that will be what the special counsel looks into. Was Jack Smith doing his job, or did he violate the Hatch Act, which says that you can't take actions if you're a DOJ employee to influence an election? And so the crux of the allegations is you were against Trump. You tried to interfere with the election by pushing voters to vote for Biden and Harris, and therefore you violated the Hatch Act. And that's what this special counsel will look into.
Well, what specifically constitutes a violation here? What's the threshold? I think that's the million-dollar question. And also, what are the arguments that you believe they'll come up against?
Well, Kelly, I think we're in a little bit of uncharted territory here. Typically, Hatch Act violations are brought against current employees at the Department of Justice or in the federal government. And Jack Smith no longer works there. And the typical remedy or fine that somebody gets is you lose your job if you violate the Hatch Act, and he doesn't work there. So what's at stake for Jack Smith is he could be reprimanded or fined. What he's going to say is, hey, look, I took these actions as a prosecutor. A judge signed off on much of what I did. I was just doing my job. What the special counsel will look at to counteract that is say, look, here's the timeline. You were very aggressive. You know, you searched the former president's home. You moved these cases very quickly. The Iowa caucuses were going on. The election was going on. Trump was always a candidate, and all of your actions were taken while he was running for president. So it'll be that timeline versus Jack Smith will just say, I was doing a job. It's a little bit of uncharted water, as I said, because typically these cases are brought against current employees for the Department of Justice or for the federal government. This is a little different, so time will tell what happens here.
Yeah, and we've known the timeline. So is the timeline enough of a compelling argument, or are there other items needed, you believe, to support that?
Well, I think the special counsel will look at every text and email that Jack Smith sent to looking for evidence that he did bring actions and did try to move things in a way because of politics. They will look to see, did he know about the election? Obviously he did. And was he trying to interfere with the election? And so they will get into the weeds of this. And remember, overhanging all of this, the biggest concern for Jack Smith is what's waiting out there is the weaponization working group at DOJ. Much more serious consequences by that group because they can bring criminal charges. So I'm sure all the information from this Hatch Act investigation will eventually make its way to the DOJ working group, and therefore that's a much more serious risk for Jack Smith.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you highlighting that. We are up against the clock. John Fishwick, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.